I am doing fantastic and just honored and humbled to be on this show with you.
Yes, ma'am. Listen, I'm excited too. You are a legend.
Oh
And
my.
I'm telling you, listen, whether people know who you are or not, there is something really special about Miss Peggy Britt. But we'll get into that in a little bit. But we can sort of just go from the beginning. Like, where did you grow up?
I grew up here in Portsmouth, Virginia, for the first few years of my life. Of course, I lived with my grandparents in North Carolina and moved up here. My mom moved us up here when I was like 5.
Okay.
I've been here for the last 217 years.
Now listen, I know you have some wisdom, but I don't think y'all live Moses. So-
Right, I should have said 120. You're right.
Oh, that's awesome. And so I'm assuming so church was just something that just came natural, something your family did.
Well, yeah, I grew up, of course, in church here. Thank God, and church called Ebenezer Baptist Church,
Okay.
one of the, I guess, what you would call pillar churches, African American churches here in Portsmouth, Virginia, and
Okay.
um, yeah, I grew up in church, playing music in church, and doing the things that young people do
Yes, ma'am.
in the church setting. Mhm.
Yeah. So at the time you grew up, what kind of music was hot around that time?
I grew up in a very, very traditional Baptist church. So I am, and I'm thankful for that. No
Yes, ma'am.
complaints at all because we got to do anthems.
Yep.
We got to, and we definitely did the hymns
Mm-hmm.
and, things of that nature. Now, check this out. When gospel music started to be very popular, oh my goodness, we had to fight to do it at our church.
I believe it.
Now, in the other denominations, let me put it this way: in the more lively denominations,
Uh-huh.
that wasn't an issue. But well, we had to fight to do it. But man, it really, really kind of grew on the people,
Yes, ma'am.
especially as the young people were grasping it and singing it and loving it. You know.
Yeah, yeah, very true. And I mean, of course, we can always go back to Thomas Dorsey and even the things that precede him. Of course, people we all know him as the father of this genre. But needless to say, there were different eras. Of course, there's the golden era, and of course, you have like the where we are now. There's praise and worship, the praise and worship era. But of course, there are many things in between there: the choir era, the quartet era. And it's funny how whenever new things, especially in the church world, are brought to the forefront in music ministry, we're always very apprehensive in the beginning. But once we see what it does and how it attracts people, we're like, okay, well, I may try a little bit of it.
Yeah,
Let's just see what happens.
because that same thing happened with praise and worship.
Hmm.
Uh,
Oh yeah.
we kind of low key were laughing
Hmm.
at the praise and worship movement, and what in the world are they doing, and
Right.
you know, and then when we found out the spiritual efficacy
Hmm.
of that kind of element in a worship experience,
Yes,
man,
ma'am. Yeah.
we landed on that. But let me say this: the the thing that normally happens is that we'll get stuck on one thing
Yeah.
rather than having the full array
Hmm.
of musical genre as a part of our worship experience. We'll get
Exactly.
stuck here. We'll do this and this only,
Exactly.
or we'll do
Exactly.
that and that only. And that's unfortunate because there's great music every. So hopefully, we will kind of step back a minute and see. Okay, wait a minute. Let's not lose
Yeah.
this because I'm a part on a board of an organization called Hymns for Him,
Yeah.
which was
I've heard
started
of it.
by David Allen,
Hmm.
and he's just on this crusade, and we're just on this crusade to make sure that we don't lose this body of hymnody
Yes, ma'am.
in our churches and in our worship experience. So yeah.
Yeah. And now, did you teach yourself to play growing up?
Oh no, I had lessons, and I had
Okay.
a great teacher, one of the most respected teachers in this area at that time, and she put me on the fast track because she found out that I had the natural
Hmm.
propensity to be able to do that well.
So you have the best of both worlds, and it's funny because it's funny you mentioned that because I had just put a post on Facebook the other day, and I said for those who are, especially also in the black world, I'll sort of backtrack a little bit. A lot of times in the black church, a lot of us we have to grow up playing by ear because not a lot of things that I'll say in this time now, not a lot of things were sung out of the hymn book, depending on who your pastor was, the kind of
True.
congregation was there as well too. So okay, I know I started off like that, and then I went to school for music. But then I noticed that for people, black people, who were degreed in a particular field in music, it could be in choral conducting and singing, whatever it may be. Sometimes once we get that degree, I've run into people who have this air of arrogance about them because they've sort of, in a sense, separated themselves from the learned and the unlearned. And
Man,
my
you're so on it. You're
yeah,
so on it.
and it's like, how do we stop that divide? And of course it'll take more than just me to say this, but I wonder when you were coming up, was it ever that kind of air about people was like, you know what, because you have the best of both worlds, you can play by ear and you can read music. What has been your experience with musicians from both ends of the spectrum?
Well, as I entered into college, and of course by that time, we were gospel music had become pretty much like a staple in churches.
Mhm.
However, now you see gospel music on college campuses all across the country.
Yeah.
But at that time, they told us we could not.
Hmm. Yeah.
It
And
would
then now
not.
where'd you go to school?
Norfolk State University.
Oh, Norfolk. So okay,
Yeah,
gotcha.
yeah. And no, we could not. And so, but we did it, of course. Come on now,
Right.
come on.
Yes,
Um,
ma'am.
but let me tell you, um, Richard Smallwood,
That's the guy.
I love him. I love him.
Yeah.
And when I was in graduate school, as a matter of fact, I chose the graduate school I went to because he was in DC. So I chose Catholic University so that
Okay.
I could go to the church that he played for. And when I say,
Is it
oh,
Metropolitan, right?
no, it was Union Baptist.
Okay. Okay. Actually, it's in his book. Okay. Gotcha.
I think that's the name of it. Metropolitan. He was at, excuse me, for years, but
Okay.
Union was the church at that time, and he showed me how I could actually marry
Mm-hmm.
my classical training
Exactly.
with my gospel experience.
Exactly.
And when I found that out, man, that's all I needed to know.
Yeah.
That's all I
Yeah.
needed to know. So um, it is possible to do that and to stay grounded,
Yeah.
but it all depends on the attitude that you take toward it.
Yeah.
You I just I love what he taught me to do.
When did your gospel career begin?
Well, as a singer songwriter, I would say it began when I formed this choir called the Philharmonics years ago,
Okay.
and just a phenomenal group of singers that we went up and down the East Coast to the Midwest, doing a lot of things. And I started, as a matter of fact, I started writing my own music um, after I started going to graduate school where Richard was.
Okay.
So um, I don't think, well, I guess that was pre quote unquote career
Yes, ma'am.
because we still were not a part of the gospel music industry. I had a pastor a few years ago, well, quite a few years ago, that supported my gift and through the church that he had formed, and I was there as minister of music. Um, we released a couple of CDs. So
Mm-hmm.
that was my beginning in the gospel music industry. Music was a part of my getting through a lot of struggles.
I tell you, that is so true, Miss Britt, because music, people, people sometimes don't have a word for it, but music is very therapeutic.
Mhm.
Yeah, and I mean, if I be honest with you, and here's the other side of like sometimes I work in gospel so much. I'm like, I need to take a break from gospel. I need something else. Like, give me some Diane Carroll or some Lena Horne or something just different. But
You are an old soul.
oh yeah, I tell you, I love it.
Yes, you are. I love it.
But even like the voices of the singers at that time, the timbre is much different than what we have now.
Isn't that
Um,
something you noticed that too? Oh
yeah.
my
Oh
goodness.
yeah.
Oh wow.
Yeah. I mean, vibrato speeds, the color.
Oh, oh
Yeah.
my goodness. I didn't know anybody else noticed. Oh my goodness.
I don't
I'm
know
so
if y'all ate
serious.
different back then. We don't eat now or what? But
I'm telling you. I mean, today, the singers that are touted today couldn't have made it back in the day.
yeah, yeah, it
Couldn't
was the
have made it.
longevity
Because,
that they had with their career.
huh?
I say it's the longevity of those people's careers like at that time.
Yeah. And it's amazing. I didn't know anybody else noticed that. I
Oh
really
yeah.
did.
Yeah.
Well, thank you for validating my opinion.
Yes, man. I got you.
Gospel is, I think, the major genre that encompasses all the others
Yes, ma'am.
because you can hear a gospel song by an artist that's pretty jazzy.
Yeah.
You can hear it by an artist that is quite traditional. You
Mhm.
can hear it by an artist that's almost operatic,
Yeah.
and all of that. And so
Oh, but I mean,
that
what you
is
said.
that is yeah.
Yeah, that's very true. And it's interesting because I was just having a conversation with one of my friends in New York about the different regions and how they have their different sounds. There's the
Mm-hmm.
barking sound, there's the traditional sound, there's the light vibrato, heavy vibrato, vibrato that's off the sound wave chart. And so my thing is, whenever you start adding in like, because they always have this joke like on Instagram, like I think Anna Douglas did this once before, but what the operatic gospel singer, what is people's response to that kind of singing is a bit different. And I know there's some like nuance that people may do with their voice that might make it more attractive, but I can go back to people like Lucretia Campbell, or I can go back to who are some other operatic? I know there's Audrey oh my gosh, Audrey. She did something with My Jesus I Love Thee on the Kojic album.
Yeah,
And
I know who you're talking about.
yeah, and I really wonder whenever we do stuff like that in church, it's not always well received because sometimes the generation now, and I don't know, maybe it's as though it goes back to the learned versus those who did not study. But if you appreciate the beauty of both sides of it, right?
Yeah,
But not
absolutely.
everybody does on Voices of Fire. Can you just sort of briefly tell our listeners like how did that idea come about?
Oh my. Um, of course, Pharrell is Bishop Ezekiel's nephew,
Mm-hmm.
and somehow they put their heads together to form this choir for Bishop because Bishop's ministry uh, is international, and so they wanted to form a choir that represented different nationalities, different ethnicities, different generations,
Mm-hmm.
and they came together with this idea of Voices of Fire. And let me tell you what, it is a God thing
It
that
looks
the
like it
person
is.
that's talking to you right now
Yes,
was
ma'am.
included.
Yes, ma'am.
Trust
Well,
me.
they,
It was.
they they needed that.
I I I will say it until he calls me home or until he come back and get me. Oh my goodness. What an experience. And to be chosen to do that is
Yes,
just
ma'am.
something that I'll never forget, and always be grateful to Bishop Ezekiel and Pharrell for
Yes, ma'am.
allowing me to be me and to
Yes,
use
ma'am.
what God has given me to help that project along.
Yes, ma'am. And of course, there are a lot of things that were, of course, we know with TV it's edited. So there are a lot of things behind the scenes that we all didn't get a chance to see as well too. What
Certainly.
was one of your favorite things that took place off the camera?
Oh boy. Um, it was let's see, one of my favorite things off camera. Off camera. Um, I don't think they showed a lot of the one-on-one work that I was able to do with some of the soloists, but there were um, especially I can't even think of her name now; it's escaping me. But young lady who came in very, very timid and very just, she didn't even know what she had.
Yes, ma'am.
And to be able to work with her and to bring out more of her to herself,
yeah,
was a joy. So,
and that's what you can do. You do that because as teachers of music, there's an emotional connection. First, we have to tap into the emotion. We got to tap into you, into your spirit, into your heart. And then once you trust us with that, once you allow yourself to be vulnerable, then we can pull out some more that you didn't know was there. And so you have that gift. And I looked at Ms. Britt, you have these people coming to your house. You didn't go to no school. They came to your house and they rehearsed with you. I didn't see that. I don't see that much. I also, you allowed the world to come into your personal space. And so I appreciate that because that brought me back home because I had a teacher back home, Ms. Robinson, went to her house to play piano. We weren't out of school, but we were in her living room. Mm-hmm. And so for you to do that, that says a lot, whether they know it or not. But that's amazing. What is your take on where gospel is now compared to how you've seen it evolve?
Let me tell you what my hope would be. My hope would be that the message in gospel music would return to the focus on the Christ, mm-hmm. more so than on personal experience. And I know that part of gospel music is personal experience with the Christ.
Yes, ma'am.
But that would be my hope. I think we have a lot of great music out there, a lot of great artists, a lot of great writers. And so I am proud to be a part of that community of people.
Yes, ma'am.
Who are getting the message out to people that, just like Bishop Williams said on the show, people that wouldn't listen to a sermon will listen to the music.
That's very true.
And get the message. But we have to make sure that the message is clear.
Thank you.
You have to make sure that the message is clear. So
yeah, that's very right. So who was on your playlist? Who are some people that you listen to on a regular basis or a weekly basis?
I will catch something. I will hear it on because I listen to a Sirius radio a lot, yes, and Kirk Franklin, praise, and I just got turned on to Jehovah Sabaoth.
Oh,
baby, what I tell you.
I tell you, we lost our minds. You can ask Earl; he can tell you. We got videos of it. Yeah,
that's all right there.
Yeah, don't drive and listen to it. I promise.
Please don't.
Nah.
And have you listened to Faith or Hebrews 11 by Richard Smallwood?
Yeah. Oh yeah. And is that from the anthology?
Yes.
Yeah. I was at the recording. That was my first Richard Smallwood recording. I flew up, so I was sitting all the way in the back. Now, is that the one with Marette Brown Clark singing it? Okay, I know she had a song on there. I can't think of the name of it right now, but I'll go back and check that out. But anything that Richard does, I mean, I'm good with. I'm cool.
And I have what I have also on. I got some of everything on my playlist. And I listen to great music all the time. It's not gospel music, but it's great music.
Not either. I can turn on the radio and listen to Richard Smallwood. I know his chord changes. I can listen to Donald Lawrence. I know his background singers. I know the color of their voice. I know Ricky Dillard. And each of these gospel artists carry a signature that is a stamp for their music.
Yeah. How about Let There Be Peace on Earth? How about that? How about that?
And the way he just floats through it.
Yes. And
I can listen to that song.
But let me go back and tell you what I want to do. I really want to do this. I mean, this song is like old.
Which one?
I mean, it might be even older than me. It's old. But this, this is by Roberta Martin.
Oh, Roberta Martin. Oh, yeah.
Surely. Surely.
I know this.
Surely. God is able to carry.
Yes.
You
Yes.
through. Oh my God.
Yes.
I gotta do something with that, Doc.
There is somebody out on YouTube. I can hear them singing it so loud and so. Who is it? Okay, I play these. I play music when I'm cleaning up, of course. But I have this playlist, and I can hear somebody singing this. And then, of course, there's always that one soprano one who hits this note at the top that I can't do right now. Yes, I can't think of it, but yes, I know what you're talking about.
Yeah. So, you know, it's enough great stuff out there, and you know, I sometimes I get in a mood for a certain sound or a certain artist or writer, and that's what I listen to for a while, and then I'll move on to something else. But it's so good to have a menu.
Yeah. I need to know what I'm eating.
You know what I
mean? Yes, ma'am. Thank you all so much for checking us. Please go check out some of Miss Peggy Britt's music. It's amazing. A living legend here and now. Let's celebrate them while they are alive and not while we're rolling down the center aisle at a church.
One more thing I just want to put out there. Not only is music my passion, but money, because I also have financial services business that I help people get things in order. Their retirement strategies that can be put in order to be tax free. There are things that can be done to make sure that the kids go to college, or that they can make those big purchases without having to borrow a whole lot of money. So I love doing that as well. It's a ministry to me, just as much as music is. Absolutely.
Listen, Black wealth and having stuff set up for generations to come is definitely something that we need more of in our community. So I will make sure to include that information in the description of this interview, because that's very important. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Yes, ma'am. All right. Thank you all so much for checking us out. We'll see you next time.
I am weak, but thou art